Great. So everybody knows this next panel is our relationships panel. We have our couples from Vancouver, and actually not from Vancouver, from the East Coast of Canada. I'm going to introduce who they are in a second. And also our other couple is tuning in from Dallas, Texas. So we coordinated everybody in 3 different time zones, and we're going to be bringing them on right now. From Canada, we have Canadian actress Ashley Leggat and her husband, who is a pro hockey player who just came back from a really long stint in Germany, I believe, Jeremy Williams.
Hi, happy to be here.
We're so excited to have you. And then to my right, this gorgeous couple with this beautiful scarf and flowers, oh my God, is Deandra Simmons. You probably all know her from Real Housewives of Dallas, and her husband, Jeremy Locke, who is a photojournalist and the host of Last Letters podcast. Oh, and I'm so excited this is actually happening right now. So welcome to our event and to this panel.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Hey, you got 2 Jeremys. I mean, that's a great start right
That's nice. That's nice.
I know, it's actually funny. This doesn't have to do with the name Jeremy, but I feel like I should have had my husband here with me for this panel. He would just be correcting me on how I'm asking you the questions, though. Not here. So, okay, great. So first of all, thank you all so much for being here. We really appreciate it. And especially, as I was saying before, coordinating all these different time zones, it's definitely been adventurous, to say the least. So we're going to just jump right into this. And obviously the purpose of this panel today is, at all of our digital events, we have specific titles for our relationship panels or our featured power couple. Some of the couples have talked about top 5 tips on being a power couple, or how to keep the spice alive, various things like that. This specific panel is really to have a discussion on finding a person that aligns with your goals in life, your purpose in life, so that your relationship helps to kind of be the vessel that you move together to achieve those things together, rather than constantly fighting about what you're trying to achieve. So this is a really interesting topic, and we'll get into other things too, but I did want to orient everyone as to what we'll be talking about today. So I'm going to start off. I'm going to actually direct this one to Ashley and Jeremy, because they just went through a time period where they were separated for so many months, like geographically separated, because he was in Germany. So what lessons did you both learn as a couple to survive in this past year?
Yeah, it's been a pretty crazy year. As you said, we were apart for 6 months. I was home by myself with the 2 kids. He had to go and fulfill his contract in Germany and play hockey. So it was scary. At first, I wasn't sure that we were going to make it because I wasn't sure I was going to make it parenting by myself. But the number one thing I've learned is I'm actually so much stronger than I thought I was. Number one. Number two, we're so much stronger than I knew we were, because it takes a lot to be apart for that long. And the communication was so key for us. Every day we made sure to carve out time that was like just for us. And I really think that helped us get through it.
Yeah. And building that foundation early in our relationship it made us able to withstand that time apart. It's a testament to the work that we've put in as a couple for our relationship. And I will say, this is the baddest mom there is, because she was able to do all of that alone for 6 months. And our girls are so very lucky, and I'm so very lucky.
Did you just say baddest mom?
Yeah. Isn't that what they say now?
Best, I think.
Like baddest, like bad.
Baddest is in the bad.
Sorry.
I'm not up on the cool terms here.
No, I understand that. And, I'll say 2 things about that. Number one is I have an 8-month-old, and in fact, he's hysterically crying in the background right now with his babysitter. So I know you understand that. So it really is really impressive that you did that by yourself. And Jeremy, what I will say, sometimes with my husband, I think for me, the hardest thing actually is that my husband and I have been on top of each other. I used to travel all the time before COVID, and sometimes distance makes the heart grow fonder type thing. It's more exciting. You don't see each other, you see each other. So I guess it can go both ways. I think the difference is I would be gone for a weekend as opposed to a 6-month stint.
Yeah. The first week I really, really missed him. And then the second week I got a little bit bitter. And then by like month 5, I was like, okay, come home now.
Oh my God. Well, I'm glad you guys made it work because now you can be our future couple.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so next one I'm going to direct to Deandra and Jeremy. And then after that, we'll just kind of have a discussion. We don't have to just have only 2 of you answer. But you both are running so many businesses. I know you have, I think, 2 boys. Is that right?
That's correct. 2 boys.
Okay, you have 2 boys and you have many businesses and you're in the spotlight. So you're obviously balancing many hats in your relationship. So family responsibilities, work responsibilities. So just share with us a little bit how you're able to balance all of that.
I think for number 1 is keeping a schedule. As soon as I get my schedule, for instance, for the show, I'll say, Jeremy, can you please be home for this 3.5 months? Because it's very crucial that he participates in Real Housewives with me, because it is a show about, people love to see our relationship, good, bad, and the kids as well. And he has a podcast, and making sure that we communicate the days that we need to work with each other, the days we're going to be traveling. Now, my husband also actually travels a lot. He's a photojournalist. So when we met, we actually dated long distance for a year, and I would see him once a month. And then I finally put the screws to him. I'm like, make a decision now.
Yeah.
True story.
It's a true story. So he made the decision and moved to Dallas when he retired from the military. But I think, what do you think about balancing? We communicate, we talk about our schedules and talk about, priorities. I think it's prioritizing things in your life and not just doing everything that comes along.
Communication is the key in our relationship. To me, there's, first off, I really want to say, Ashley, mom job is the hardest job in the world. And I applaud all moms for that, because not only are you a mom, but you're also, running the household, the jobs and all that.
And she's an actress.
I applaud moms, all moms.
Thank you.
However, it's honestly, I absolutely love spending time with her. And our job is to sit down. What we love to do is sit down at night, have dinner, cook together. That's our playtime. That's our scheduling time. That's our fun time. And that's when we can share our love of not only each other, but our love of food and find out what the day has been.
Yeah. Well, I think there is a saying too. It says the family that eats together stays together.
Yeah.
That's very important. We always schedule our meals, and usually we do eat a lot at home, and we like to, everybody knows if they watch the show that I love to eat. I mean, that's like a big thing. I love to eat and I love to cook, but we also love to share a meal at home, and we prepare it together, and that's our time. And I'll put the phone away and just, spend time with my husband. Friday night was our date night. And so, put the phone away, spend time together. He made me dinner on Friday night, and then we had our sexy time. We call it sexy time night. But those things are important to sustain. Those things are important to sustain a marriage. I mean, you have to work on it. It doesn't just, otherwise the spark leaves. I mean, that's important too.
Exactly. Yeah, you have to keep creating it. If you don't keep creating it, it's not there. So it's a constant creation, and part of it too, it evolves. It's interesting because I didn't get married until I was, I think, 30 or 31. And I had spoken to someone, I lived in Manhattan, and I had spoken to someone in my early 20s, and they were explaining to me the difference between couples that get married maybe when they're 23, and then those who get married when they get married in their 30s. And they said, they were explaining why it's beneficial in your early 20s. And they said, because you grow together and you experience those changes together. I tend to think the marrying later is better, because I think then you grow and then you know what you want. But I guess it goes both
I agree.
ways.
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
I mean, we did. I got married at 24 with my first marriage, and it didn't work out. Unfortunately, gave me 2 beautiful boys. And the second marriage with Deandra, I mean, you just kind of know yourself and you know where you're at. But I will share this one bit of advice with everyone. I never applied this in my marriage before, and this is really the foundation of our marriage: is God first, then the spouse, then your family and children, in that order. And it is proven every time.
Yeah. And I think you start to realize, and then I'm going to ask Ashley and Jeremy a question, because this is not my panel. I'm moderating it, but I will say it is interesting. You do have to assume, like, I was always a career woman, and then I had a baby, and I kind of had to sit down with my husband. He was like, you're a mom now. this needs to be your priority. And I really did have to assume that position and realize things were different. And I was a bit delusional to think it's going to just be exactly the same. So I do understand that. So let's move on to Ashley and Jeremy now.
Well,
yeah.
So we got married when I was 24. So we were young, and we actually think about this a lot. It's been 10 years now, and we have changed so much from the time that we were 24. And thank God we happened to grow in the same direction, but we see how easy it would have been for that to fall apart because we were completely different people 10 years ago. So I also think maybe waiting until you're a little bit older is a better idea, but thankfully it worked for us. But also it's a good point that you said, Jeremy, that it should be God, then spouse, then kids, because I think being alone with the kids for so long, I really just focused all my energy on them. And sometimes it was hard to remember, like, okay, we have a marriage too that we have to figure out, right? So it's an important lesson to really, if we fall apart, kind of everything falls apart. So I think that's a great lesson. And
it's something that she's talked to our daughter about, our oldest daughter who can understand. She said that we need our time together and we come first. If it's, if we're not taken care of, then they can't be taken care of. It's sort of that old adage of take care of yourself so that you can take care of others.
Beautiful.
That's amazing. I'm going to say one thing that's a little bit less serious, but you were talking about many changes together. And I was going to say many hair color changes too.
Well, it's funny. Every time I dye it one color, I get a show where I need to dye it another color. I'm surprised I even have any hair left at this point.
And we're going to start filming now, right? Isn't that?
Yes, but I get to stay blonde for this one, so I'll be okay.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so here's our next question. So, and this will be for both of you. You can just both couples to talk about. So the question is, how do you set goals together as a couple or help your spouse achieve their goals and vice versa?
You guys go first.
Okay. For us, we both have such unique careers. So he's an athlete, I'm an actress. It's kind of strange, but it works out because I understand and he understands. Because it's not your normal 9-to-5 job. So there's a lot of pressure every time he goes on the ice. And I see when he's kind of getting down, if he hasn't scored in a few games, I can see that mental collapse a little bit. So from my point of view, it's kind of like I can understand how every time you go into a new room for an audition or every time you go on the ice, it's kind of a new way to like start over, get out of your head. You're only as good as this point right now, and kind of like keep reinventing yourself every time. So I think we understand each other in that sense.
Yeah, and we help push each other to achieve our goals. You know, we are a couple that sets fairly high standards and goals for ourselves. And you know, my wife especially, she is always wants to be as high as possible, and it's not easy. It's not easy to maintain a life like that. And I just have to try and support and cheer her on, and she does the same for me. And we have to just keep pushing because anything that's worth attaining is going to be difficult, and you have to continue pushing, and it's better to have both of us pushing for it. It's easier to attain that way.
Yeah, if you're both pushing in the same direction rather than fighting.
Yes.
That direction, that definitely, I think that's actually probably one of the most important things in your relationship is really realizing how you can support each other to achieve the things you want to achieve in life. And, you know, some couples, obviously, they are very content with a certain life and, you know, things simple and so on. And that's great if it works for both partners. And then some partners think really big, but if it's the other, you know, thinking big and then more like, you know, satisfied with the way things are, that's where I think things can get difficult. So anyways, Deandra, Jeremy, did you want to add anything to that?
I think the most important thing, especially in our industry, and I think Ashley and Jeremy can understand this because of being in the public eye, there's a lot of couples I see that have intense competition, and we don't do that. I mean, if my husband has a great success or a great accolade or gets a, you know, a very big role or something, you know, whether it be in entertainment or whatever, I'm happy for him. I'm not jealous. And I see a lot of jealousy, and there's no room for that in our marriage. He supports me. When I was on Housewives, he was excited for me. You know, when he got the podcast, he has other opportunities coming that I'm just, you know, and I also, if people call me and say, hey, do you think your husband would be good at this? I'm like, yes, here's his headshot. Here's this, here's that. Let's go. You know, I'm not competing with him on being the most famous person in the marriage. And I think that's so crucial because it doesn't really matter. It's, we're a team, and whoever shines at the time, it's great. I think I'm so proud of my husband and all he achieved in the military and as a combat photojournalist. Has accomplished way more than me. So, and if he keeps doing that, great with me. I don't have any jealousy about that. And I think it's really important.
I think Ashley and Jeremy said it best. I mean, you really do have to be a cheerleader for each other. And, a little thing in the military, when I was in the military, you surround yourself with good people, you'll rise. And if today she rises, guess what that's going to do for me? It's going to make me push to rise up with her. So again, being the cheerleaders, having that, and I don't want to say it's competition, but it's a push to make each other better to attain what we want to attain in life.
Exactly.
Well said.
Very well said.
Yeah. And what I will, just to kind of round this all out, and I think, are we good on time? Okay, good. We have some time left. What I wanted to kind of, we have different people who are watching, right? We have single people, married, divorced. We have all different types of people who are watching. And I'll say that, taking the salient points that everyone's bringing up is the fact that a relationship is a team. So really realizing or discussing before you get married, what are your goals? What do you want to achieve? What kind of lifestyle do you want to have? Just really being on the same page with your agreements and what really bringing up things that don't align with that from the very beginning, so that can be sorted out before you start, right? Like begin that journey and really start working together to achieve these goals as a couple. For me, it's interesting. I grew up in New York my whole life. I lived in Manhattan for 10 years. And then my husband is from Los Angeles. So I'm in LA right now. So I'll never say, people say, where are you from? I'll never say I'm from LA. I live in LA. And, you really, when you move to another area and so on, sometimes also you have to maybe readjust what your goals are. Sometimes you do have to, things happen or changes happen in life where it's not exactly what you planned. But if you're willing to work together to kind of jockey or rebalance everything, then you can still continue. But you have to be willing to do that, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, great. So here's our last question. So how do you, and Jeremy Locke, you mentioned this a little bit, and everyone can talk about this again. How do you all keep things interesting in your relationship? What do you do to plan new and exciting date nights, things like that?
One of the things in our relationship that we really love to do, and to be honest, we need to do a little bit more. We sometimes take time, stop, smell the roses, right? But one of the things we love to do is get out and travel, whether it be to the next, county over, go find a little bed and breakfast, but explore those roads that are off the beaten path and share life and love with each other and have fun with it. That's kind of like
how we fell in love, is because we both realized we love to travel and we had been all over the world. And I thought, oh, this is going to be the perfect guy for me because I love adventure and he's adventurous. And we fell in love. We actually, tell them about the India thing.
If you can live in a tent in India with a woman for 30 days.
On the side of the Ganges River during the Kumbh Mela, then you can marry that woman.
You better marry that girl.
Amazing.
Incredible.
But it's taking those little small slices of life that brought you together and focusing on them and empowering each other to go out and live those with each other.
Wow. I love that. Yeah. I slept only once in a Bedouin tent in Israel. I don't know if anyone's ever done that before, but
wow.
That
was game.
What did you say?
I said I'd be game for it though,
Okay. I signed up for the wrong trip. I somehow ended up on the athletic people who had those knapsacks of food that comes out with the water. And I was like, we were hiking once in one of the mountains and I said to myself, they're going to have to call a helicopter to get, I'm not going to make it. So I slept in that Bedouin tent, but that was the last time I would be sleeping in a tent. So
good for you. Good for, I've yet to sleep in a tent in my life. So I applaud both of you.
All right.
For us, we have a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old, so every day is kind of interesting with them. But it's funny, being around kids now all the time has really like made us feel like kids again. We were super serious, I think, before kids, and we forgot about like the silly little things. For example, the other day, the kids wanted to build a volcano out of paper mache, and so we got really into it. And the kids were like off watching TV. We were like building this amazing volcano, and it was just half an hour later, we just kind of looked at each other and laughed because it's something you would never do, but we had the best time. And it's like little silly things like that keep us like really in love.
Yeah. And like Jeremy said, traveling, we've always been able to travel with hockey. You know, I've been to 5 different countries in Europe, and she's traveled with work all across North America. And for us to be able to just be at home and be together is sometimes so nice because we do travel so much. And when you're able to share in new experiences, like Jeremy said, you're able to build great memories. And I think that's what really creates it. It helps you slow life down, but it creates bonds that over a lifetime, you know, you create all these memories that just solidify you as a couple.
And they don't have to cost money. That's the thing. You don't have to go to exotic places. I mean, there's so much of America that we have not explored.
Exactly.
Or Canada.
Yeah, both. Everybody's looking to travel outside. Yeah.
Well, at this moment, we'll only be exploring America, the Americans and the Canadians in Canada until further notice.
Yeah, we're not allowed out at the moment, so we'll explore around here.
Not allowed out either to visit you, but one of the things I wanted to say, and Ashley and Jeremy, you can too, because I kind of heard some of the things just real quick. When you get married to someone, and I'm having friends that are getting divorced, and the reason they're getting divorced is because their roles and responsibilities in the marriage were not clearly defined. So the man wanted the woman to stay home and take care of the children, for instance, but then she can't have a career. And then when she wants to, have her career, that's not okay because, the person may be a public figure or whatever. So really having those conversations, I mean, unfortunately I couldn't have children. The timing was off, especially when we got married. But it's very important, I think, to have those conversations about who's going to do what are the expectations? Is it okay? I'm going to pursue my career while I have children or not? Or do you expect, because there are people, we live in the South that expect women to stay home still, so, those kind of conversations before marriage, I think really solidify a good, healthy marriage.
Totally. And they change, like what we wanted in the early 20s. We waited to have kids until we were 30. I was 31 and I got married at 24 because it changed so much. And we didn't want to take that next step until exactly as you said, we knew exactly what we were going to do because it's so important to know that before things get really hard when the kids come. So great point.
So many people make fun of me for making notes all the time about everything in my life, whether it be conversation with my husband or my career or whatever I'm doing. But I will reevaluate those notes. And even in our marriage, okay, we're 7 years in. What do we want to achieve in the next 5 years together as a couple? That's important. And it does make a difference when you have your priorities on paper and really you discuss them and pray about them or, whatever you believe in together. That makes a difference for us.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, that is a great way to end off this panel because we've now reached our time limit. But you guys, this was really wonderful. You're both amazing couples. You both look beautiful today. You should go and take pictures, both of you, separately afterwards. And thank you so much for sharing all this insight, for taking time out of your busy schedules or your family day. And thank you both, all of you, so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
You got it. Bye.